Well, the dangers now of politicizing the Federal Reserve. Jerome Powell is preparing to testify on Capitol Hill tomorrow. But before the Fed chair speaks to lawmakers, let's consider this question. What is the Fed's proper role? The Fed's traditional role has been to lean against the political pressures in Washington to prime the economy. But in recent years, it seems like it's been more in lockstep with the politicians. And there are worries that the Fed actually might be losing sight of the objective of controlling inflation, even though inflation is currently low. Well, here now to talk about all this is Larry Lindsey, former Federal Reserve Governor, former National Economic Council Director, and author of The Conspiracies of the Ruling Class. Larry, thanks for joining me.
It's great to be here. Congratulations on the new show.
Thank you. Well, Larry, tell me what. So we're going to hear from Jerome Powell. We've seen the Fed, basically siding with the administration on pretty well everything. In terms of stimulus, it's been very aggressive in terms of stimulus. The Federal Reserve has asked for more fiscal stimulus too. The Fed does have a dual mandate to keep account of keep inflation under check while keeping full employment going. Do you think maybe the signs are that the Fed has lost sight of the inflation objective?
Oh, I think so, but I think it's broader than that, because it's not so much political as it is the country's now faced with a policy choice. And both Secretary Yellen and Chairman Powell have the same view, and that is that we have to put the pedal to the metal. The goal here is to have us back to full employment by the end of 2022. Now, a cynic would say that means election day 2022, but it's really to the end of 2022. And they believe that in order to do that, they have to have very aggressive policies.
And do you think that those aggressive, obviously the economy was in a deep hole last year, but these aggressive policies have been in place more or less since the end of the Great Recession, right, in 2009, huge expansion of the Fed's balance sheet. Will it ever end?
Well, that's the fair question. And this is the question they should be asking themselves, but are not. So this year, the Congressional Budget Office says, without the new $1.9 trillion, that we're going to have a $2.4 trillion deficit. Add the 1.9 on and you're up to 4.3. That is 20% of our GDP, 20%. The private sector's net saving total is about 7% of GDP. Well, who's going to buy the difference? That's the Fed. So they're going to have to do a lot more QE this year to cover the deficit. Okay, then what happens next year? If you cut the deficit by more than 2, maybe 2.5 points a year, then you run the risk of a recession. And next year is a year divisible by 2. And I can guarantee you that the incumbents are not going to want to have a recession next year. So maybe the deficit goes down to 18 next year, and then 16 the year after that, and then 14 the year after that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, for the rest of the decade. And the private sector can't fund that kind of deficit. The Fed is going to have to. So we are off to the races in terms of spending financed by money creation.
Thank you, Larry. That's spelt out a very bleak and very concerning future. Thanks very much indeed. Look forward to speaking to you again.